The news spread across the world in a wave of shock. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa, the unforgettable face behind some of cinema's most iconic characters, has passed away at the age of 75. For millions of fans, his name instantly brings back a powerful mix of nostalgia, admiration, and goosebumps. He was the man whose voice could silence a room, whose stare could freeze a scene, and whose presence could electrify an entire film. But behind that intensity lived a deeply thoughtful, private, and quietly spiritual man whose life story was far more layered than the roles that defined him. His death, confirmed by his family after complications from stroke, felt like losing a piece of cinematic history, but also like losing someone who had shaped the childhoods, fandoms, and imaginations of entire generations. Audiences didn't just watch Cary Tagawa. They remembered him. From the very beginning, his life was a story of movement, discipline, and identity. Born in Tokyo to a Japanese actress mother and a Japanese-American father who served in the U.S. military, Cary grew up between worlds, literally. Much of his early childhood was spent in different states across the American South, places where he often felt like an outsider. Being Japanese in post-war America wasn't easy, but instead of shrinking into the shadows, he developed an extraordinary resilience. He learned to adapt, to observe, and to carry himself with a calm strength that would one day become his trademark on screen. He trained in martial arts, not as a performance hobby, but as a philosophy. Kendo, karate, meditation. He studied not only the physical discipline, but the inner stillness behind it. He later developed his own method, blending traditional techniques with spiritual principles. It was never just about fighting. It was about balance, identity, purpose. That combination, physical precision and deep emotional presence, shaped every role he took. And yet, his path to Hollywood wasn't a straight line. It was persistence. His first appearance on the global stage came in the late 1980s. Even with a small role, he carried himself with authenticity. Directors noticed. Casting agents noticed. And suddenly, the man who once struggled to find a place where he belonged was being asked to bring his unique presence to major motion pictures. Then came the turning point, the role that carved his name into pop culture stone. In the mid-1990s, the world saw a video game adaptation explode onto the big screen in a way no one expected. And at the center of it stood Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa as the dark sorcerer Shang Tsung. It wasn't just a character. It was a phenomenon. He didn't play a villain. He inhabited one. The voice, the stare, the way he moved, calm, controlled, almost regal in his menace. He delivered lines that fans would repeat for decades. He took what could have been a two-dimensional antagonist and transformed him into something magnetic. Generations of players and movie lovers grew up quoting him, imitating him, fearing him, admiring him. But focusing only on Shang Tsung would be like looking through a keyhole at a cathedral. Cary's body of work spanned more than 100 films, television shows, and video game performances. He moved easily from action to drama to historical epics. He appeared in major studio productions as well as independent films that allowed him to explore the complexities of culture and humanity. One of his most celebrated television roles came later in life when he portrayed a conflicted government official in a dystopian world. It showed a different side of him, quiet, thoughtful, deeply human. Viewers saw not just the warrior, but the philosopher. Not just the antagonist, but the man capable of carrying emotional depth with barely a whisper. Even after decades in the industry, Cary continued to take on new projects, new characters, new challenges. He refused to let age dim his passion. He was still recording, still acting, still evolving. His dedication to his craft earned him awards, honors, and the respect of colleagues across the world. But off the screen, his life couldn't have been more different from the intense energy of his characters. Cary married in the 1980s, building a life with his wife and eventually welcoming 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. Even after the marriage ended, he remained devoted to his children and shielded them from the spotlight. He cherished privacy, something increasingly rare in the entertainment world. Despite his fame, his family always came first. He raised them with the same discipline, grace, and groundedness that shaped his own life. He spent much of his later years living far from Hollywood, not in a mansion built to impress, but in a peaceful home surrounded by nature. He saw quiet, not chaos. Reflection, not noise. It was the kind of place where the man behind the villains could simply be himself, a father, a grandfather, a thinker, a student of life. People who knew him personally describe him not as intimidating, but as gentle, warm, deeply wise. Someone who listened more than he spoke, and when he did speak, chose his words with care. Someone who treated filmmaking not as a job, but as a responsibility, a chance to honor culture, represent strength, and carry forward something meaningful. Financially, decades of work across continents built him a solid and respected net worth, estimated around $20 million. But he never flaunted wealth, never chased extravagance. Success, for him, was measured not by the number of luxuries he owned, but by the legacy he was leaving behind. And that legacy is immense. He broke barriers in Hollywood long before diversity was an industry standard. At a time when Asian actors were often sidelined or limited to stereotypes, he carved out a path of his own, not by rejecting who he was, but by embracing it. He brought dignity to every role, even the villains. He showed that an Asian actor could lead, could command presence, could dominate a scene with a single look. Countless younger actors would later cite him as the one who proved it was possible. His storytelling wasn't just through lines and action sequences. It was through presence, a quality that cannot be taught. You could feel it in every frame he appeared in. He became an icon not just of films and video games, but of representation, strength, and self-mastery. As the world reflects on his passing, fans return to the roles that defined their childhoods, their late-night movie marathons, their friendships, their shared memories. They hear his voice again in their minds, commanding, chilling, unforgettable. They revisit scenes that once scared them, inspired them, thrilled them. And in every one of them, Cary lives on. He leaves behind 3 children and grandchildren who will grow up, knowing not only the legend the world adored, but the gentle soul behind it. His family shared that he passed peacefully, surrounded by love, a fitting end for a man who gave so much of himself to so many. His funeral arrangements have not been widely publicized, reflecting the same privacy he valued in life. But whether his farewell is quiet and intimate or celebrated publicly by fans, one thing is clear: the impact he made will not fade. In a career spanning nearly 4 decades, he didn't just play characters. He created myths. He breathed life into stories that continue to echo worldwide. And even now, in his absence, he commands the same respect, awe, and admiration that defined his entire journey. A man of discipline, a man of presence, a man of legacy. And for millions of fans, he will forever remain the warrior sorcerer whose voice cut through generations, the actor who brought emotion to even the darkest roles, and the human being who proved that strength can be quiet, dignity can be fierce, and identity can be power. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa is gone, but the world he shaped, the memories he created, and the stories he left behind remain very much alive. His soul, as fans would say, is never truly taken. It lives on. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to daily updates and never miss a video.